I, the longevity factor, represent the average lifespan of technological civilization. Most people feel they understand the world with far greater detail than they really do. Be the neurotransmitter in your world. Diffuse ideas and human connections. An organ originally constructed for one purpose may be converted into one for a wholly different purpose. A civilization's intelligence is not merely its computational power, but the capacity to remain a civilization. I is the hidden exam, the average lifespan of technological agency before it collapses into ash, silence, and scattered artifacts. A culture that can build wonders but cannot persist has mistaken brilliance for wisdom. The threats that end civilization arrive in diversified form: climate, nuclear war, pandemics, asteroids, misaligned machines, and they share a single lesson. None is unavoidable in principle, but each is unavoidable in practice if planning is postponed until panic. Longevity is the art of preventing the improbable from becoming the eventual. Low annual risk is not safety, it is merely a slower fuse. Over centuries and millennia, probabilities aggregates into near certainty, and the unlikely become destiny through accumulation. The long view converts comfort into urgency without drama. A single planet strategy is a single point of failure disguised as home. Moving heavy industry of world and learning to live beyond Earth are not escapist fantasies, but risk management at civilizational scale. The moral core is not abandonment of Earth, but the creation of redundancy that protects Earth. To think intelligently is to widen the map until the map includes the hazards that do not care about our borders. Mars is not the goal, but a rehearsal, a stepping stone towards more distant dispersals when adjacent worlds can be jointly wounded by a supernova or other cosmic violence. A civilization becomes adult when it budgets for astrophysics. Physics contains not only laws that permit life, but possibilities that erase it. Even if vacuum decay or death bubbles are fantastically rare, time is a great predator that hunts with patience. A civilization that lasts long enough must learn to fear what it cannot negotiate with. Acceleration as the cosmic expansion turns distance into a kind of shelter. What cannot communicate also cannot share a single annihilating wave. Safety can be purchased with separation, and separation is purchased with propulsion, coordination, and the willingness to become many. Longevity here means embracing diaspora or physics-informed ethics. Survival at a cosmic timescale demands replication with divergence, splitting into daughter civilizations and riding expansions so no single catastrophe can synchronize the end. Continuity becomes a branching tree rather than a single trunk. The intelligent civilization learns to multiply without losing its memory. Travel speed is not merely convenience, it is survivability. The fraction of light speed you can sustain becomes a lever on destiny, turning extinction odds into a tunable parameter rather than a sentence. Even modest dispersals beyond gravitational binding is a statistical upgrade to existence. Most certainty is a feeling, not a fact. Ask for a step-by-step account and confidence collapses into silence, revealing that our minds often hold labels will reimagine mechanisms. Information abundance can coexist with understanding scarcity. When knowledge is consumed as headlines, memes, and compressed explainers, we become wide readers of thin realities, credentialed by familiarity yet starved of causal grasp. The civilization with the most access can become the civilization with the least depth. Forcing oneself to explain is a cognitive acid that dissolves false certainty. It exposes missing steps, hidden assumptions, and borrowed phrases mistaken for comprehension. The discipline of explanation is not pedantry. It is a tool of reducing delusion. When people attempt genuine explanations of policies and systems, extremity cools and certainty recalibrates. The mind becomes less eager to weaponize opinions when it cannot cash them out in causal detail. Humility is not a virtue add-on, it is a stabilizer for the political nervous system. Ignorance often speaks with the loudest voice because it cannot perceive complexity. Expertise, by contrast, feels the jagged edges and unfinished maps. A healthy culture builds institutions that reward calibrated confidence rather than charismatic overclaim. Networks optimized for engagement becomes machines for self-reinforcement. When feeds are tuned to what we already want, the system performs a quiet lobotomy. It reduces exposure to disconfirming signals, thins the common conversation, and replaces public reasoning with parallel monologues. Post-truth is a symptom of connectivity without synapses. Brains function because they are not merely collections of neurons, but architectures of gaps, bridges, signal transfers. The synapse is the humble miracle. Connections without fusion, coordination without collapse. Civilizations likewise require bridge builders who move meaning across divides without demanding sameness. In an atomized culture, the rarest resource is not information but translation across contexts. Those who convene divergent minds, broker introductions, and link incompatible fixed ideas become the metabolic enzymes of the intellectual ecosystem. They keep thought from coagulating into tribes. Healthy systems need both amplification and restraint. Some signals should spread, others should be dampened. But our present architectures often invert this, amplifying outage and inhibiting nuance. Synaptic civilization means redesigning social and technical incentives so that coherence can re-emerge. Adaptations are keys, and keys imply locks from the form of the creature, its anatomy, chemistry, and instinct. We can infer pressures of the worlds that sculpted it. Each organism is a forensic report written in flesh. The genome is not merely a recipe for building a body, it is a shadow archive of ancestral constraints. If read properly, it becomes a book of the dead, a negative description of environments that no longer exist, yet still govern living through inherited structure. History does not overwrite cleanly, it layers. A lineage can be water over land or water. A bewildering stratigraphy of prior worlds embedded in present capacities. What looks like a single organism is often a stacked anthology of extinct ecologies. The book remains unread because reading it demands new analytics. finding shared features across diverse taxa that converge on similar niches, then separating obvious morphologies from subtle genomic signatures. The genome invites a new kind of archaeology, one that digs in probability space rather than soil. Novelty often arrives not by inventing a new organ from nothing, but by repurposing existing complexity. The evolutionary trick is to take hardware built for one job and press it into another under new constraints. When environments change, formerly essential structures become prime real estate for new functions. The grill bars become jaws, the jaw bones become ear bones, the architecture of filtering water becomes the machinery of speech. Evolution is the ultimate recycler. It thrives on surplus structure. A trait is adapted and then adapted again. In the middle phase, it is clumsy, barely functional for its new purpose, until selection tunes it. Modern skills, reading, flying planes, advanced mathematics are largely retooling of older capacities rather than products of new biology. Our brains are exaptation engines, running cultural plugins on ancient firmware. The danger is to mistake this flexibility for unlimited plasticity. A civilization that overestimates its understanding will misprice it. Longevity begins when the species learns to explain, not merely to opine. Existential risk is not only a technical problem, but a coordination problem. Survival requires synapses, institutions, and individuals that connect domains, translate across silos, and build shared models robust enough to guide collective action. A species without synapses may be clever, but it will be brief. We are not a single moment, but an accumulation of ancient experiments, genetic, cultural, technological, trying to persist. To honor that inheritance is to extend it, to keep the chain unbroken long enough that our descendants can face the remote hazards that become real only to those who last. The test is not whether we can imagine the galaxy, nor whether we can predict the death bubble, nor whether we can name I. The test is whether we can redesign our cognition, individually and collectively, so that foresight defeats convenience. Intelligence is the capacity to solve problems before they become history.